Hey everybody, this is Aaron Marcus. You all are attending the Acting and Modeling Success Summit of 2012, and we have Mark Soper, who is a very talented guy. He is the agency director for Carolina Talent, which is a great acting and modeling agency in Charlotte, North Carolina. And you know, the
Hey
interesting
Aaron, how
thing
you
is,
doing?
hey, I'm doing well, Mark. So nice to have you here. One thing I just wanted to let people know about, you know, it's funny, a lot of times people think, well, if I want to work in this industry, I've got to live in LA, I've got to live in New York, it's got to be Chicago, maybe Miami, and otherwise there's no work. But what a lot of people don't realize is there is a lot of work even in what are considered secondary markets, any cities outside of those major markets. And Mark certainly can tell us a lot more about it, but I can tell you, not that this is in Charlotte, but even in a town like Wilmington, North Carolina, most people have never even heard of Wilmington, North Carolina. And I can tell you that up until maybe a couple of years ago, I haven't seen the statistics for this year, it was, I think it was the third largest market on the East Coast of the United States for made-for-TV movies. So
That's correct.
just because you're living in a secondary market doesn't mean there isn't some wonderful work for you. So Mark, I tell you what I wanted to start off with. Maybe you can explain to everybody what are the responsibilities of an agent?
Okay. Yeah, the responsibilities of an agent are one to make sure that the talent that they're bringing on board, has some bit of talent, whether it's in the modeling, acting, or whatever, career path they're wanting to take. So, the agent's responsibility is to look at that individual and say, okay, you've got what it takes, or, we think you've got the potential. Then the second thing, that an agent needs to do is to make sure that they work with that talent to make sure that that talent has all the proper marketing material. Whether it's pictures, whether it's resumes, it's all the stuff that they need in order to be marketed by the agent. And some of the agents, we use websites. There's a great website that we use that, markets our people. And then getting the talent involved in the community as far as what's going on in that community, whether it's going to film meetups, whether it's going to voiceover meetups, getting people involved in that kind of stuff. So basically it's a partnership with the talent agent and the talent, and that's how it needs to, be moved forward.
And I guess the other thing too is that it's part of your responsibility to help promote the talent as well.
Oh yes, yes. Oh, most definitely. And that's and we do the promoting through, whether it's we have what we call showcases, where we bring in casting directors, we bring in photographers, we bring people in that are running magazines, and then we showcase our talent. As a matter of fact, tomorrow we're putting on a big showcase for all our models, where we're bringing in over 36 photographers that are doing local magazine shoots and stuff of that nature, and all our models will get in front of those photographers. So yeah, that's also one of the other things that an agent has to do is promote the talent.
Now that's incredible, and I know that you guys do that. I have a feeling there really are not that many agencies that work that way, especially in today's time period. I found that a lot of times, just because of how things have changed electronically, a lot of times agents don't spend the time doing that personal kind of contact and sitting down with people from advertising agencies and photographers and talking and pitching their clients, their actors and models, but instead they just put them up on a website and hope that
Right,
that
and,
they
and
are seen.
yeah, and that truly, I mean, I think in today's age, a lot of us have gotten used to, email conversation, using the internet, using websites, and texting, and there's not that personal touch. And part of what we've done over the last year and a half is we're getting back to that personal touch. We're making books. We're going to advertisers. We're going to photographers. We're actually going and knocking on the doors and saying, hey, we'd like to have 5 minutes with you. Here's a book. Here's our talent. Also, the one thing that we're getting ready to do for the summer is we are going to do an actor showcase again, where I'm going to get all the top casting directors, within the Southeast that I can get a hold of, and I'm going to bring them in for a one-day showcase of all our top actors. All the actors, basically what they'll have to do is they'll have to come in, they'll have to audition to get into the showcase just to make sure that their material's right, make sure that they're back on top of their game. And then I'm going to put them in front of these casting directors. I'm going to videotape it all. And when the casting directors leave here, they'll have a book of all the actors' headshots that were involved, and plus they'll get a reel of all the showcase that was done.
Now, the other thing too that agents have to be able to do, and that's, you're also negotiating. So when a model gets
Yes.
booked, you're being able to speak for the model or the actor and decide on what the fees should be, and try to play around with that, and also to help make sure that it's a legitimate job and
Correct.
to get paid.
Correct. Yeah, that's probably the most important thing that we do for the talent, is negotiating, the fees that's going to be paid to them, the usage, the rights, how long it will be, if there's any expenses involved in it, if we can get the hotel paid for, if we can get gas expenses. All that goes into the negotiating of what we do when talent wants to be booked. Now, I will say, in this day and age, lots of times when a talent is booked, they've already come to us directly and they said, okay, this is what we're willing to pay for this talent. So sometimes the negotiating process has already been taken out, but the talent knows the fees up front, so the talent has already agreed to it. But every once in a while, even still, like we just had a girl that did a commercial down in Wilmington, which is 4 hours from us, and we did try to negotiate some extra pay for her for travel. So we are always looking out for the best interest of the talent and trying to get them the most for what they're doing.
And that's why, like, I'm going to be having Brian Dragona come on later, who's going to talk about marketing. And I think it's very important for actors and models to market themselves and really help
Yes.
get their names out there. However, having
Yes.
said that, I also think it's very important that you send the job through an agent. And part of the reason is because, even if, and actually maybe you can tell us, and I realize for commercial modeling it varies from market to market and job to job, but what would you say is like an average rate, let's say per hour, for a commercial model in your area?
Okay, per hour. Our average rate for children, and children are normally under the age of 13, it's $85 an hour. When we get into the juniors, we jump up to about 150, and then when we get into the adults, we go 150 and above. Normally, I would say an hourly rate, a good hourly rate average for a good model in our market is about 200.
Really?
Yes.
That's unbelievable.
No, that is, yeah.
That's incredible. Well, I guess what I was getting to was, so let's say even if, there's a model in your area who knows that their going rate, let me just throw out $150 an hour is the going rate.
Yeah.
And they decide, you know what, I'm going to try to book a job on my own, and I don't want to send it through an agent because I want to save a 20% commission fee. So they're working with the photographer, and let's say the photographer says to them, okay, so we know that you're getting 150 an hour. This is going to be running on billboards throughout the East Coast. What is your billboard usage fee? Well, the model isn't going to have a clue. And
Correct.
what can happen is the photographer might say, well, I'll tell you what, we're going to give you an extra $200 just, for billboard usage. And the model is thinking, hey, well, that's great. That's extra money. Meanwhile, if they had sent it through their agent, the agent might have gotten them $1,000 or $2,000 more because the agent knows what to charge.
Well, I'll tell you right now, we had a gentleman who actually went down and did a Pirates of the Caribbean. He was actually, it was for the Pirates voyage in Myrtle Beach, and they actually wanted him to imitate Jack Sparrow. And they did a complete photo shoot with him, and they use it on billboards, and they use it on all their marketing material. And had he not allowed us to do the negotiation, he would have settled on $5,000 for the whole job. And after we got involved with it, and after we got into the negotiations and all the details of everything that it was going to be used for, we actually got him $40,000.
$40,000.
So you're looking at $40,000 for unlimited usage, unlimited rights. But like I said, he would have accepted 5,000 and thought it was a great day.
Right. Now, do you have exclusive contracts with your talent?
We have exclusive for North Carolina. So that means that they cannot have another agent in North Carolina. But I encourage, and we encourage, if our talent is going to work in any other state, that they have an agent in every state in which they want to work.
And how does it work? Is it for you? Is it typically like a 1 year or 2 year contract, or is it longer?
We actually do a 1 year contract, but when we sign that 1 year contract, we give the talent as well as ourselves the right to end the contract with a 30-day notice at any time.
So either you're not happy or they're not happy, they can give you 30 days notice.
Correct.
And so how do people even get to you? You know, if somebody's, living in the area or they want representation with you, they don't live that close, but they're willing to, come into North Carolina for, auditions and jobs. Do you have open calls where you see new people? Do you want people just to mail you headshots? How does that process work for you?
We actually have our website, which is www.carolinatalent.us. If you go onto the website, you can see everything about us, but there's a pre-register button there. The pre-register does not cost anything, and basically what you do is you pre-register. You'll upload any industry resume that you have, whether it's for modeling or acting. If you don't have a resume because you're getting started, that's fine. And then you upload 2 pictures, and they don't have to be professional pictures. They just have to be generic pictures. One's what we call a headshot. It's about a 3/4 shot so we can see you. And then the second picture is a full-length shot or a full-body shot. And then based on that, our new faces director will contact you. That's Mandy Silla. And she will actually set up a time for you to come in, whether it's an open call or whether it's a one-on-one appointment.
And I'm curious, so when somebody comes in to meet with you, is there any kind of advice that you can give talent as to things that they can do that will be ingratiating to you and make you think, you know what, I want to work with this person, or some things that people can do that make you think, there's no way, I'm not working with this person?
Right. Yeah, there is. When our new faces director contacts somebody and says, we'd like you to come in, or, we want to see you, we give a pretty detailed instructions on what to wear, what to bring, and what to expect. The biggest thing I would say is, just always read everything fully. Don't skim through stuff. This is your career. This is something you want to do, so take it seriously. Treat it like a business. You don't sign business contracts without reading the whole thing. You don't go to a business meeting without being prepared. So it's the same thing. Acting, modeling, even promotional modeling, it needs to be treated in the same manner. So that's the biggest thing. Don't go out and stay out all night the night before an audition, that kind of stuff. Everything in this is a business, and it needs to be treated like a business, and you need to be professional. You need to show up on time. You need to do your job and not complain.
Yeah, I'm sure that it must be every agent's nightmare when they get a phone call from the photographer saying, well, it's 9:30, this model was supposed to be here 30 minutes ago. What's going on?
Right.
How do you handle those kinds of situations?
We don't have that often, but every once in a while it does happen. And basically what I do with the client is, the first thing I do is I always tell the clients, no matter what the situation, I always want you to call me. Even if it's bad, call me. Let me know. So if a client does call in a situation like that, hey, we're supposed to start at 9, it's 9:30, talent's not here. First thing I do is I tell the client, I say, okay, give me just a second. I will get right back with you. I'm going to find out what's going on. And then I reach out to the talent, try to find out what's going on. Most of the time, I'm able to get a hold of the talent right away because they do have a cell phone or something. And I say, where are you at? What's going on? And most of the time, they're like, I'm lost, or, I couldn't find the place, or I had a flat tire. And then my thing is I say, okay, let me call the client. Let me straighten this out. Let me get everything taken care of. So I call back the client, take care of whatever the issue is. Probably if they're on a time schedule, like they had a time schedule and we're supposed to be paying hourly, I will give them a discount because the model showed up late or wasn't there on time. But then I talk to the model afterwards. Once the job's over, I tell the model, I say, if you ever run into a situation, because we give you the ability to call us immediately if something's going on and is wrong. call me immediately. Let me call the client. Let me call the client and say, hey, the talent's on the way, but they got in a car accident, they got in a flat, or they're lost. They say they're on the street, but they can't find the building. Is there something you can do? Go out and wave them down, kind of thing. But we always try to tell our talent too up front that you should always go to the job ahead of time. In other words, if you're not sure where you're going and it's close enough where maybe you can go by the day before, go by the day before. Check it out. Make sure you know how to get there. It should never be you're just, I woke up this morning and I'm going to drive 3 hours somewhere I've never been before, and I'm just going to hope I get there right away with no, construction being done. I don't get a flat or anything like that.
Now, so, I'm curious, when you're working with a talent who is not getting phone calls from you, and they are getting concerned because they're not hearing from you, what do you recommend the actor or the model to do? How should they stay in touch with you? How should they approach you if they feel like they're not getting, the amount of phone calls that they are, wanting?
Yeah. Well, and this may be different from any other agency, but I always tell the talent, this is your profession. In essence, I truly, as an agent, I work for you. It's your career. I'm just here out there trying to market you and get you jobs. So I always tell the talent, always feel free to call me. Let's sit down. If something's not working, let's sit down, make an appointment. Let's figure out why we're not getting the calls for you. Let's figure out what the deal is. Maybe it's your look is a little too different from what they're looking for. Maybe we need to grow your hair. Maybe you need to shave. Maybe we need to get new headshots. So it's one of those that if the talent feels that they're not getting enough calls or they're not getting the stuff, they really need to make that appointment, sit down with the agency, sit down with whoever's their booker or whatever, and go through some of their concerns and try to figure out why we're not getting the calls for that person.
It's interesting because sometimes, you hear of agents today saying, look, if it's not an emergency, just email me. But you're saying it's okay for a talent to actually call you and ask you questions.
Yeah, no, I want that interaction with my talent. The only way I'm going to know how to market my talent, the only way I'm going to know what my talent's capable of doing is if I know them. And the only way I'm going to know them is by having that interaction with them. Now, granted, I may not be able to interact with, all my talent every week or even once a month, but I should be able to interact with all my talent within a 2-month period. I should always be able to talk to just about all my talent.
This is something that I talked about at the very beginning of the day. Have you ever run into a situation where you had an actor or a model say to you, I'm just not comfortable doing this ad, or working on this project?
Yes. As a matter of fact, I'm glad you brought that up. And at the end of the day, it's always the talent's choice on what they want to do or what they're comfortable in doing. And a talent should never do anything that they are not comfortable or puts them in a situation where they feel uncomfortable. I actually had a girl, we actually had 4 girls that were doing a bikini shoot, and it was for a retailer. And the girls went in and they got their bathing suits, and they had like 4 different bathing suits that they were posing with for the magazine. Well, I get a call at the beginning of the day from one of the girls, and she says, Mark, she says, I just really feel uncomfortable in this bathing suit. And my first thought was, okay, it was obviously either a very skimpy bathing suit or a very revealing bathing suit. So I asked her, I said, well, what's the issue? Tell me. She goes, well, it's the Confederate flag. If the bathing suit is a Confederate flag pattern, and I just don't feel comfortable wearing that. And I said, okay. I said, that's very understandable. I said, let me call the client, let me talk to the client, and I'll call you right back. So I had her hang up, and I actually called the client, and I said, hey, I said, we have 4 models there, and I said, and each of them have bathing suits. I said, one of the models, you've given a bathing suit, and the bathing suit is a Confederate flag, and she really doesn't feel comfortable, wearing that. Is there any way we can switch that bathing suit out to one of the other girls who is comfortable doing it? And the client's like, yeah, no problem. So, if we don't address the issues or we don't ask the questions, then we never can solve the problem. So don't just sit back and say, oh well, I have to do this. Talk about it, ask the question. There's always ways around things.
Great. Hey, well, Mark, I want to thank you so much. Joel, I don't know
Not a
if
problem.
there are any questions for Mark right now.
There's so many questions there. We've got, like I said, we've got over 2,000 people registered for this. We're getting tons of questions from Mark, but let me try to get some really good ones here. One is, what's the major difference between signing up with an agent versus a casting agency?
Okay, a casting agency is somebody who basically what they're doing is they're not marketing you. Basically what they're doing is they're saying, hey, we have all these things in, and we want you to, we've got your headshot and resume, and we're going to put you in for it. That's all it is. A casting agency also normally deals a lot with extras work. So basically what they're going to do is they're going to take your headshot and resume, and when they have extra work come up, they're going to say, hey, look, we need, 3 or 6 people to fill a dining room scene, and, we looked at your picture and we'd like to use you. Where a talent agency is going to be going after everything.
Yeah, I mean, basically, Mark's right. I mean, a casting director is somebody who casts for a project, but they are not actively trying to get talent work in many different areas. It's for a specific job that they happen to be casting.
Right.
Also, we have several different questions about upfront fees. I guess some people have run into agencies and agents who have asked them to pay them money ahead of time before they find work. Is that typical? Is that something they should expect to have happen?
Well, see, it depends. You need to ask what the fees are for. Some agencies will say, we have a cost up front, but that's because they're putting you on their website and you're actually paying for that cost for that website. It could also be that they have a fee because they're going to bring you in for a one-time class, and that class may be something that is, specific to that market so that they can say, okay, this is what you need to know. I would say that, there's always going to be some sort of fees, but it shouldn't be astronomical fees, and the fees that they are charging should be worth what they're saying those fees are for. So I guess I'm saying if an agency tells you we have a fee that you need to pay, you need to say, well, what is that fee for and what does that fee cover? And if you feel comfortable with the price of that, then go forward with it. But I would not say like thousands of dollars.
The other thing, too, I was just going to jump in real quickly, is that certainly there are costs to being on an agent's website, and it's one thing if an agent says to you, hey, look, you've got a great look, you really need some training, you need to take some classes. Just to let you know, we do offer some classes at our place. If you're interested, that would be great. But if an agent says to you, I'm not going to represent you unless you take my class, that would concern me a little bit.
Right. That's where you want to. That's the red flag.
Last question. Ebby asks, I'm truly disappointed with the agents around me in my area. Is it possible that I could do the agent work myself?
Wow. You can, but let me say this. The issue with doing it yourself is that you're not connected in the realm or in the group where a casting director is going to send you the information. So what you're going to be doing if you're trying to do it yourself is you're going to be pulling off these websites that are giving you stuff out there or are going to charge you in order to give you the information. So you're still going to be spending that money, and you're not going to be getting the really good stuff. You're going to be getting the stuff that's kind of secondhand or, is out there for everybody already. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, and the other thing too is, look, like I had mentioned earlier, I think it's really important for everybody to market themselves. And
yes.
Sometimes and depending on the website and the way that you go about marketing, you can find some really helpful things, but you also will need to do some homework and understand what is a typical charge, what should you be, asking for, and maybe you just need to do a little bit more research and find a better agent for your particular area.
Right. And I guess I want to answer the question in saying, yes, it could possibly be done. Is it the way it's normally done? No. And the majority of the people are not going to have the skills or the ability or the knowledge to do themselves justice like an agent could. That's why agents get paid, because they have that knowledge and that skill.
And the connections. Yeah.
And the connections, yes, definitely.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to leave that out.
Sure. Hey, well, Mark, I want to thank you so much. All of your
Well, thank you.
contact information is on the monitor, so if you are anywhere in the Carolina area, definitely check out carolinatalent.us. Thank you again, Mark.
Aaron, thank you very much.